Tonight kicks off this year's NFL Draft. The Cowboys sitting there at number 24. Jerry Jones got several options. He says his front office will, quote, be unconventional if we think it will help our team. All right, Shannon, let's get you in before Skip pounces on this one. What do you expect from Jerry tonight?
No, I just, Skip, at this point in time, I think you're going to agree with me. Jerry should just stop talking. Because Jerry doesn't make any sense. I mean, Skip, he really does. I mean, he was talking the other day, says, you know, we don't take as many guys with red flags as we used to. And the first two guys he took last year had red flags.
Especially the second one.
Yes, Skip.
Because the second one's now involved in a murder investigation.
But
Yep.
I guess he meant moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
Skip, he said the Randy Gregory situation, it just got too much for the guarantees, and you know, you got to be able to count on the guy. Jerry, the contract that he signed was the exact contract that you offered him, minus the language.
Mm-hmm.
I like Jerry. What? Jerry,
Made no sense.
It made no sense.
No. Mm-mm.
So I don't, Skip. He's just all over the board. We're gonna do things unconventionally. He always talks about we build through the draft. We love our draft. When has Jerry Skip? When has he traded up and given up draft capital to go get a guy? Like you said, he'll trade down to accumulate more draft capital. But we haven't seen Jerry Jones move up to get somebody. Jerry just blew.
No, I mean, not since the early days.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, they traded up to catch Emmitt Smith as he fell, but this is going way back.
Yeah, Emmett and I came out the same draft in 1990.
That is it. Bingo.
So how long ago that's been? Now, I understand they need an offensive lineman. Tyron Smith and Zach Martin, they're getting on up there in age. Ty Smith is starting to have more and more injuries. Every year it's an injury. Zach Martin is still a very good player, but he's not as dominant as he once was, Skip. He's been in a lot of collisions. Both of these guys, what, 32? 30? Yeah, Zach Martin turns 32. What you call him might be a little older, and Ty Smith might be a little older than that. And so for me, I get it. I get it, but Jerry, it's unconventional. What is unconventional, Skip? You're just like, you know what, hey, everybody go home. I'm just going to throw darts at the board, and wherever the dart lands, that's what I'm going to pick. Jerry, you know, Skip, everybody done got this thing lined out for Jerry. They're going to turn Jerry the sheet in and says, okay, Jerry, this is where we are right now. If such and such is available, this is the guy that we think will best fit our situation and what we need and where we are. And then Jerry go pretend like, you know, I put this draft, this mock draft together.
Yeah.
You know exactly what Jerry gonna do. Jerry, just stop.
Okay. I cannot disagree about just put a sock in it, Jerry, because the more he talks, the worse it gets. And it's getting so bad that it's like kooky talk now.
Yes.
Where he was asked about, do you work the phones for trades? And he says, we chum. We chum. And I didn't know whether that meant we're chummy with people on the phone.
No, you chum, you said like
you fish. I know, it's fishing talk.
Yes,
It's bait.
Yes, yes.
We cast our bait out into the water and see if we can catch a big fish.
Right.
Okay. Do you really?
No.
Or are you just talking?
Just talking.
All right. In the biggest picture, I'm going to defend my man, Gerald Wayne Jones Jr., as a draft master, even though what you say is true. He gets handed the sheets from all the whole, everybody behind the scenes, maybe even from Steven, for that matter. But Jerry does make the final decision.
Absolutely.
He makes the pick.
Right.
He signs off on, okay, we didn't get one of the corners. Yeah, Philly wants to trade back? Okay, we'll do that. Are we sure they're going to take Devontae? Yep, we're sure.
Right.
Okay, so is Micah Parsons going to be sitting there at 12? Yep, it sure looks like it. Okay, let's do it.
Right.
But the buck stops on that desk.
Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, Bucks, this is the most valuable team in all the world, owned by Gerald Wayne Jones Jr. But when it comes to making final decisions in the draft, he's not just pretty good, he's real good. If you look, remember the stat I've hit you with before, 2010 to 2020, in that decade, he drafted the second most Pro Bowlers to Kansas City. And last year's draft, I mean, how can I argue with Micah Parsons?
Right.
Was he not the revelation of the draft?
Sometimes all you got to do is hit one, Skip. Okay. You don't need to have you'd love to have like the Steelers had in '74 where they drafted 4 Hall of Famers in their first 4 picks. But if you get one, you got a potential defensive player of the year.
Bingo. You had the rookie of the year. We were both making the case. He's at least in the conversation for defensive player of the year, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, and down the line, you know, I didn't love Kelvin Joseph because I just didn't see enough from him last year. But now Jerry's saying, well, we plunged. He had red flags and we plunged. And now he's in danger of getting suspended, if not worse. Okay, right?
You might be suspended.
Right.
A jail sentence suspension.
Okay, so now he's basically admitting, well, that was just a bad idea. So we can't do that anymore. We got to go conventional.
Right.
He says, we got to be, well, that was unconventional because he was a big talent, Kelvin Joseph was, at LSU, and then he transferred to Kentucky because he got kicked out of LSU.
Right.
Okay, so it's all there. He's boss man fat as a rapper, right?
Skip, you know, Jerry plunged on Charles Haley.
He did.
That was his first plunge.
To trade and acquire Charles Haley.
And he's been digging for all ever since. That's what Jerry does.
He was a plunger in the oil field.
Yes.
That's how he made his way.
Yes.
And he lost his shirt. He lost it completely in the oil fields and plunged all the way back into this position.
Yes.
Okay, I can't argue with the drafting, and yet all he does is build through the draft. That's their calling card.
Right.
That's their mantra. That's
right.
That's their claim to fame is we build through the draft. Well, the problem with that is that as you raise your kids up, and you don't have to pay them much, so
Right.
you get to restock around them.
Right.
But the problem is the culture is flawed to start with.
Yes.
Because Jerry runs the show.
Thank you.
And the head coach has little to no power.
Correct.
And everybody knows that in the locker room. And now he's got a guy who couldn't motivate me, right? And now we're stuck with Mike McCarthy because Jerry is running the show as the GM / unofficial head coach.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how well you draft because the kids come into the fold and then they can't rise above the flawed culture.
Right.
And you know and I know you're going to go as far as your quarterback carries you.
Yes.
Well, he's a fourth-round pick who's played like a fourth-round pick the last couple of years, and he got paid.
Right.
He made $75 million last year. It's hard to overcome that. So you're stuck with a culture and a quarterback who can't rise above all these good draft picks that you continue to make. Right?
You're absolutely right. Skip, you spoke of the culture. Okay? New England, you got the Patriot way. Steelers, standard is the standard.
Do you?
The Ravens, play like a Raven.
You got it.
What's the Cowboys culture? What's their mantra?
It's Jerry's team.
We look good, we play good, we make a lot of money.
We're fat cats.
We're the most popular team.
Yep.
Everybody talking about us. Where they got you?
Fat cats. You play country club football because Jerry takes care of his.
That's the thing, Skip. When you don't empower your coach, when your players know they can circumvent the system, if something they don't like and go upstairs to you, you're never going to have a culture that guys can figure it out. Guys can do this. It's always Jerry, and Jerry wants to be the center of attention. Jerry does. And Skip, he could. I believe he could have been. I don't know if he would. Well, he could have. He didn't fire Jimmy. They the one. He'd have been Mr. Kraft before Mr. Kraft became Mr. Kraft.
Yeah,
they had that kind of talent.
They did.
Because Troy was the oldest. Well, excuse me. Michael was the oldest when he fired Jimmy. I think it was like 28, 27, 28.
Yep.
So you had a 24, 25-year-old Emmett, 26-year-old Troy. That's what you had with 2 Super Bowls already in your pocket.
You did.
And you fired him. You think Coach Belichick and Tom probably been bickering, Skip, for a minute. Mr. Kraft said, y'all figure it out. Y'all win me some more trophy. How many we gonna get? How many we got? That's 4? Figure it out. 5? Figure it out. 6? All right, let's try to get 7. Okay, we don't have to run his course. That's all Jerry had to do, but Jerry wanted to make it about him. You don't hear Mr. Kraft. Mr. Kraft ain't got no radio show. He ain't got no talk show. He ain't out here talking about who he's gonna draft. Yep, we chumming up the water. That ain't what that's not what owners normally do, unless Jerry, you played college football.
You did.
Okay, now leave it to the players. But Jerry want to be the face of his franchise. Jerry, you own the franchise. You don't have to be the face of it. But
yeah. As long as he's the face of it,
he good.
The ceiling is low.
Yes.
And I hope that talent would prevail last year, and there was so much talent assembled that it would rise above Jerry and especially please drop the Mike McCarthy. Right. And it got right to the doorstep, and here came San Francisco, and there went the Cowboys. And that was the end of that. Right. But they finished the season 6-5 in their last 11 games because of the quarterback and the culture of losing.
Exactly. And Skip, it was his son, Steven, that saved him with the Zach Martin because he wanted Johnny Manziel.
He did.
And he said, Daddy, no. And he said, Jerry.
That was a great pick. That's a Hall of Fame pick right there.
Yes.
Right?
He said, Jerry, no, we can't do this, Jerry.
Well, they've made a lot of really good picks, but all the assembled drafted talent doesn't equal a whole
Right.
Super Bowl team.
No.
Nope.
And if Jerry would have just, say, you know what, I'm gonna try it. I've been doing it this way for such a long time. We had a little, we won a couple of Super Bowls, not as many as I think we could have won with the talent that we've been blessed with. I'm gonna let y'all have it. I'm gonna give y'all 2 years. I ain't gonna do no interviews. I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna see what y'all bring me in 2 years.
That is correct. I think he tried to do it 1 year with Parcells, and then he decided, I need me some T.O. Get your popcorn ready, because we're coming with T.O. And Parcells said, not on my watch, and wouldn't even speak the man's name.
Right. Called him the player.
The player. Great.
Never any shortage of drama when it comes to Jerry and Skip's Cowboys, gentlemen. All right, we got to go back to the NBA and these playoffs, because will we see a retro James Harden game against the Raptors tonight? It's going to be a good one. One Hall of Famer thinks, yes, indeed, we might. Stick around. That's next.